My name is Deborah. I'm sitting on the balcony of my beachfront resort in the Bahamas, a glass of wine in hand, as I scroll through the mountain of missed calls, texts, and voicemails on my phone. The sight of it all is almost comical, a vivid record of the chaos that ensued back home while I've been here, enjoying the sun, the sand, and the utterly stress-free cuisine. It all started to build up over the years. I grew up in a large, traditional Italian-American family. My parents, Vincent and Isabella, were the kind of people who believed that family gatherings were the heart of life. My father, Vincent, was a stoic man, the silent type who thought a pat on the back was sufficient praise. My mother, Isabella, however, was extremely vocal. She had an opinion about everything, especially food, and she never hesitated to share it. I was just 14 when I first discovered my love for cooking. I made a simple lasagna for a family dinner, and it was a hit. From that point on, I became the family's go-to chef. My sister, Louisa, who was 2 years younger than me, always had an excuse not to help. "I don't have your gift," she'd say with a dismissive wave, as if being bad at cooking was an acceptable reason to sit back and do nothing. She'd show up to family dinners with a box of cannoli from the local bakery and expect to be lauded for her contribution. My brother, Franco, was a financial analyst. He was constantly swamped with work, or so he claimed. He always had time for his poker nights with friends but never for setting a table or doing the dishes at a family event. As the years went by, I became more than just a chef. I was the event planner, the caterer, the server, and the cleanup crew, all rolled into one. Every Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, and birthday, I was the one slaving away in the kitchen. I'd spend days preparing the meals, only to have them devoured in minutes, followed by my mother's nit-picking. The pasta was a bit too al dente, or the sauce could use more basil. It felt like no matter how hard I tried, it was never good enough. Then, Easter 2025 came around. It was April 1st when my mother called me at work. I was a pastry chef at a high-end restaurant, where my skills were recognized and rewarded with a decent paycheck. "Deborah, we need to talk about Easter," Isabella said, no preamble, no asking how I was. I knew what was coming. "We're hosting the whole family this year. All your cousins from New York, your aunts and uncles from Chicago. It'll be wonderful," she said, her tone leaving no room for argument. I took a deep breath. "Mom, that's almost 90 people. Cooking for that many is not like making dinner for a few." But she brushed off my concerns. "You've done it before. And Louisa can't cook, and Franco is too busy with his work. Your father has his fishing trip that weekend, so he'll be prepping for that, and I'll be busy cleaning the house. You're our chef, Deborah. You always are." I felt a familiar knot form in my stomach. "The family is counting on you." This magical phrase had been used against me for years, making me feel guilty for every time I hesitated. When I asked about the date, she said it was April 21st, just 3 weeks away. "I'll send you the guest list. And make sure to do your grandmother's special manicotti. And cousin Gina is gluten-free now, so you'll need to make something for her. And Franco's new girlfriend is a vegetarian. Can you come up with something nice for her?" That was the straw that broke the camel's back. I remembered last Christmas, when I'd spent 15 hours straight in the kitchen, preparing a feast for 50 people. My mother had criticized the tiramisu, saying it was too sweet, while my father just sat there in silence, not offering a single word of thanks. I told my mother I'd handle everything, my voice unnervingly calm. After hanging up, a cold, calculating rage washed over me. I opened my browser and started looking for flights to the Bahamas. I decided not to tell anyone about my plan. I knew that if I wanted to escape this cycle, I had to be completely discreet. For the next 3 weeks, I played my part to perfection. I asked my mother for updates on the guest count, requested dietary restrictions, and created detailed shopping lists, sharing them in the family group chat. I had endless conversations with my mother about the menu. "The meatballs should be made with veal," she'd say. No, maybe beef. Or a mix of both. I'd patiently reply, sure, Mom. Louisa texted me, saying the menu looked amazing and that she'd bring paper napkins. Franco sent a thumbs up emoji. My father simply said, it sounds good, Deb. Make sure dinner's at 3 p.m. I'll be back from fishing by then. My mother responded that it would give me extra time to get everything ready. I finished all my preparations at work and submitted my vacation request weeks earlier. It was approved without a second thought. I used the credit card points I'd saved for years to buy a ticket for Flight 789 to Nassau, departing at 10:37 p.m. On Saturday, April 20th and landing at 2:49 a.m. On Easter Sunday. I booked a week-long stay at a beachfront resort with all-inclusive meals. On Friday, I bought a postcard with a beautiful view of the Bahamas. On the back, I wrote, Dear family, I'm in paradise right now, enjoying an Easter brunch prepared by experts. I didn't have to lift a finger. I hope you all figure out your Easter dinner. Maybe Louisa can cook for once, after all the years of bringing store-bought desserts. Or Franco could step in, considering he has time for poker but not for family meals. Or you, Mom, could cook the feast you volunteered me for. But I know you'll probably stand around the empty kitchen, angry and confused. I'm done being your unpaid chef. I'm done sacrificing my time for your unappreciated meals. Enjoy your holiday. I mailed it to my parents' house, knowing it would arrive on Sunday, right in the middle of their panic when I didn't show up. I spent the rest of Saturday living a normal day. I met my friend, Maya, for lunch. She knew my plan and thought it was an act of pure genius. They're going to be furious, she said, grinning. That's the idea, I replied. I'm not even a little bit guilty. And I meant it. I'd spent 2 decades feeling guilty for not being perfect enough. But now, I was free. At 9:30 p.m. I took a taxi to the airport. I checked in my luggage, breezed through security, and waited at the gate, phone in hand. I turned it off as soon as I boarded the plane. By sunrise, I was in the Bahamas. I spent Easter Sunday floating in the warm ocean, eating delicious local food, and getting massages. It wasn't until 8 p.m. that I turned my phone back on. The notifications were overwhelming. There were 423 missed calls, 912 text messages, and 156 voicemails. I started reading through the messages. Deborah, where are you? You should be here by now, my mother texted at 8:20 a.m. Deb, call me immediately. We need to start cooking, my father's voice said in a voicemail at 8:55 a.m. As the day went on, the messages grew more desperate and angry. You've ruined Easter, Louisa texted. This is so embarrassing, Franco said. We're ordering pizza, my mother called, her voice full of frustration. But buried in all the rage, there was a message from my cousin, Alessandra, who'd always been my ally. Deb, good for you. I've watched you cook for this family for years, never getting thanks. You deserve this break. I replied to the family group chat, I'm in the Bahamas and will be here for a week. When I get back, I'm open to talking, but I'll never cook for a family gathering again without proper compensation, genuine thanks, and respect. Your problems are no longer mine. The week in the Bahamas was exactly what I needed. I swam, read books, and made new friends. On the 4th day, I checked my phone again. The volume of messages had decreased. My mother said we needed to talk, Louisa was still mad, and Franco just said whatever. But Maya sent me a message saying I was famous. Alessandra had posted about my escape on her Instagram, and it had gone viral on TikTok. There was a hashtag Deborah in the Bahamas, with people sharing their own stories of family exploitation and praising me as a hero. I flew back on April 28th, feeling refreshed and confident. When I turned my phone on, I had new messages. My mother was mad that people were criticizing her on social media and wanted me to make Alessandra take the post down. Luisa was getting hate messages for being a lazy sister and demanded I fix it. But Alessandra just said she was sorry if she'd made things worse and suggested we grab coffee. On May 2nd, my mother called. "Deborah, we need to talk about Easter," she said, her voice tense. I interrupted her. "Mom, how much time did you think I'd spend preparing for 90 people?" I calculated it. Shopping would take at least 10 hours, prep work 25 hours, cooking 20 hours, and serving and cleanup 8 hours. That's over a full-time job for a week, and you expected me to do it for free, all while working my actual job. She was silent for a moment. "You're good at cooking. It's your thing," she finally said. I replied, "It's my career, Mom. And what you're asking for would cost thousands of dollars if you hired a professional. You've been taking my labor for granted for 20 years. She said she thought I enjoyed it. I did, once. When there was appreciation and help. But not anymore. You've been hurting me for years, Mom, by expecting me to do everything without a single thank you." She started crying. "I just wanted a nice Easter for the family." I said, "Then you should have planned it properly, hired a caterer, or made it a potluck. You had options, but you chose the one where I did all the work." She asked what I wanted. I told her I wanted her to acknowledge that what she asked was unreasonable, to apologize for taking me for granted, and to treat me with respect from now on. "If you want me at family events, invite me as a guest, not as your personal chef." She said she needed time to think. Weeks went by, and things started to change. Alessandra and I grew closer. We had dinner at new restaurants every week. Luisa sent me a text, saying she was starting to understand that they'd taken me for granted. Marco still didn't reach out, which was fine. My father was still angry and said I wasn't welcome at family dinners. But my mother called in mid-June. "I've been seeing a therapist," she said. "She said I've been emotionally dependent on you taking on these roles and that I exploited your kindness. Your reaction was a healthy boundary." She apologized, and I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. She invited me to Sunday dinner, saying Luisa was making the meal. I agreed. Today, I'm writing this from my apartment after having that dinner. Luisa's pasta wasn't as good as mine, but she'd made it with love, and she seemed proud. Marco brought a salad, and my mother made dessert. I brought flowers and wine and sat at the table as a guest, a daughter, and a person who was valued for myself, not for my cooking. My father wasn't there, but I don't care. I've learned that my life is my own. I'll do what makes me happy, and I won't let family obligation turn me into a slave. I'm no longer defined by my role in the kitchen. I'm Deborah, a person with her own dreams, desires, and the right to be treated with respect.